Chuck's face was crawling with mosquitoes. He woke up with mosquito bites. Chuck waved his shirt to get rid of the mosquitoes. The sky was full of mosquitoes. Chuck ran as fast as he could. He lost one of his shoes. He slipped and rolled down the hill. Chuck fainted. The day passed. The mosquitoes in the sky flew away, and Al stood next to Chuck. Chuck's face was covered with pus from the mosquitoes. Lena came to Chuck's side. First she checked to see if Chuck was still alive. Then she went to the river to collect moss. Chuck's feet were festering. Chuck was still unconscious. Lena wrapped Chuck's foot in the moss. She rubbed watercress juice on Chuck's face. She made a fire the old-fashioned way. Chuck came to his senses. He looked at his feet and the fur covering his body. Chuck knew it was Lena who had saved him. Lena came back with a bundle of dry lumber. Chuck took a few mouthfuls of the hot soup and felt better. He saw the cuts on Lena's hands, but he didn't say anything. Chuck asked Lena what the soup was made of. Lena was imitating a groundhog. Lena set the trap at the groundhog's hole. She's lying on the ground, not moving. Chuck watched Lena from a distance. Half a day had passed. Lena was still on the ground, not moving. The groundhog finally crawled out of the hole. Lena pulled up the trap. She beat the groundhog with a stick. Chuck knew their dinner was ready. Lena trimmed the fur. She was going to make Chuck some boots. Lena was chasing swans. Chuck admires Lena's hunting skills. Lena easily spearing a fish. Chuck was glad to have a good hunter on his side. Lena's nose is bleeding. It seems that her illness is getting worse. During the night, Chuck heard Lena coughing. Chuck knew they had to get out of here as soon as possible. Lena's body is not going to last much longer. Rescue planes are still searching for Chuck. Chuck was fishing when he heard the plane. He ran and shouted into the sky, "The plane is gone." Chuck looked up at the sky helplessly. He didn't know how much longer he'd be stuck here. He regretted the mistake he'd made by taking a small advantage. Lena makes good boots. They don't leak a bit. Chuck and Lena were on their way. They're going to cross the vast wetlands before the storm hits. Chuck saw something reflective in the distance. They spotted a crashed airplane. The pilot was a skeleton. Chuck found some tools on the plane. Lena sits in the distance, not saying a word. Chuck finds another shotgun. Chuck calls out to Lena. Lena is still sitting there, not saying a word. Chuck was going to dig a hole to bury the pilot's bones. Lena brought a rock. She wanted to bury the dead in the Eskimo way. Chuck and Lena made a grave out of the stone. Chuck couldn't understand why Lena threw her tools into the grave. Lena said the dead would go peacefully with their tools. Chuck touched the shotgun he'd gotten so hard. He threw it into the grave. The guys at work arranged Chuck's funeral. The selfish Chuck was dead. In the snow, Chuck made a sled out of his treasured ivory. He dragged Lena along.